to Otisfield's 200th anniversary. Otisfield is a quiet town located 20 miles east of Lewiston, Auburn, surrounded by Oxford, Norway, Poland, and Casco. Now the people decided it was a good idea to have a celebration of their heritage and to put it in a series of events. They worked many hours and came up with some great ideas, and boy did the people come. Here on the shores of Pleasant Lake, the Bicentennial Committee held part of its first event, calling it the Winterfest. Kids and adults alike came out to enjoy the crisp winter day. The skating and cross-country skiing, and ice fishing, and cookout, and colored snow contest, and of course sliding. And at the head of the road were the beaches. There were hay rides, and the Crooked River Snowmobile Club hit the trails. And nobody has been able to tell a kid the amount of energy it needs to climb. Figures to be 100 times amount going up is coming down, but they don't listen. They just don't count the climb. All day long these kids worked on whatever you could call them, coloring, building, and usually smiling. Throughout, sometimes it was hard work, sometimes not. All we know is we know what the lake monster looks like now. And here we have Amanda Ayotte putting the finishing touches on a creation. There's the sea monster. Even parents got involved. And here's Robin Priest putting the finishing touches in the Pleasant Lake Sea Monster. As you can see, they worked hard. They piled and they colored. And they colored and they piled. Some of the things they made, definitely identifiable. Look at that tail. There's Al Stroud cooking. Cross-country skiers were there in strength. This is just one of the groups, both young and old. Cindy Arston and Beth Diamond, who just saw, signed up to cross-country skiers, and Cindy was showing off one of the prizes. Whoops. Getting the hang of it pretty good. Now they were playing hockey, figure skating, some of them were just beginning to learn. These skaters just went out and had a good old time. One of the industrious kids kept rolling snow off the ice to help make the thing a little bit bigger. distance, you can see the cross-country skiers heading back to the fire station. Now here we have some snowmobilers who've already landed, and here we got some coming. One of the features of this day was the snowmobile rides through the trails with members of the Crooked River Snowmobile Club. And lest we not forget the setup and the munchies provided during the day at the beach. We're all looking forward. There we go. Ah, that's how it got there. Now over at the new Otisfield School, Pat Gilson was organizing the memorabilia, and the kids got right into it with projects of replicating some of the old buildings found in Otisfield, and buildings now only a memory. Now notice the beautiful quilt on display. The intricate design of many of these students' projects show the promise of the future. They spent hours building, painting, gluing, and landscaping many historical structures. They were on display at the school library for everyone to see. It was quite a journey to get there 200 years ago. It was a long way to come. In 1798, Otisfield had cause for great celebration. Back then, the townspeople had been struggling for 23 years to clear forest land, build farms, roads, bridges, schools, and churches. These hardy souls, for the most part, had come here from Wrentham and Groton in Massachusetts, and Falmouth and Gorham in the province of Maine. On this date, February 19, 1798, the 44 families living here were granted incorporation as a town by the General Court of Massachusetts. Otisfield can trace its founding to 1734, when a petition was presented to the General Court of Massachusetts asking for a grant of land to be given to Captain John Gorham and his company for their services in the French and Indian Wars of 1690. This petition was granted on January 13, 1736. A plan for the boundaries of the township was laid out. However, because of boundary disputes between Massachusetts and New Hampshire, among other reasons, 35 years passed with no action being taken to develop a settlement. Then another petition was submitted by the Honorable James Otis, Esquire, and Mr. Nathaniel Gorham, on behalf of the former grantees and their heirs to establish a township 7 miles square. This was granted on June 15, 1771. Settlement began in 1775 with George Pierce. Even with the American Revolution being waged, within 8 years 14 other families had purchased lots and began clearing land for farming and building log cabins for homes. The early households were headed by George Pierce, Benjamin Patch, Ebenezer Kemp, Joseph Spur, Daniel Cobb, Michael and Samuel Whitney, Jonathan Moores, David Ray, Mark and Zebulon Knight, Jonathan Britton, Samuel Reed, and David Mayberry. Logging, farming, and grist mills were the principal occupations. However, the educational and spiritual needs of the community members were not neglected thanks to the efforts of David Ray, who in 1781 built a grist mill at the outlet of Saturday Pond, and in 1786 added a sawmill on the same lot. He had settled his family on the west side of Crooked River in 1780, but then moved them to a log cabin at the mill site in 1783. It was in 1795 he added a schoolroom to his home and at his own expense employed Major William Swan to teach. The students used birch bark for writing paper to do their lessons. He also donated land for a meeting house, which was raised that same year. 20 Boston businessmen, most of whom had no relationship to Captain Gorham or his company, acquired rights to the land and became its proprietors. In 1775, they hired George Pierce to run the boundaries of the land and divided into 100 lots, allowing for individual ownership. He also was to clear a road and build a bridge across from the Crooked River. Additionally, he was to build a sawmill and a grist mill on the river. Despite many hardships and slow funding by the proprietors, Mr. Pierce accomplished his task and built what is called the Jugtown Road, connecting Eddy's Falls to the land in which the town was built. The proprietors selected Otisfield as the name for the town in honor of James Otis, who owned the most rights. Proprietors were bound by the terms of their grant to settle on 30 families within 6 years, as well as to learn a learned Protestant minister and to build a meeting house. This condition was imposed to prevent proprietors from stripping the area of virgin timber and then abandoning it. The meeting house is a grand structure, 45 feet long, 35 feet wide, with posts 22 feet in height. It has 24 rectangular windows with 24 panes each, a rounded top, pulpit window, and in the gables 2 small round windows, making it appear to be 2 stories high. A gallery for singers, men on one side, women on the other, grace the interior. Customs have certainly changed, men and women seated side by side, children with them. A welcome change for certain. On November 7th, 1797, the meeting house was dedicated with exercises and attended by a great concourse of people and pastors of the churches in the neighboring towns. The proprietors and 8 church members furnished 10 pounds of loaf sugar, as well as 1/2 barrel each of New England and West India rum, and much to the delight of the learned Reverend Thomas Roby. He graduated from Harvard College in 1779, you know. After drinking heartily from the celebrated rum, some of the men folks helped him to the pulpit, and he delivered an eloquent sermon. The proprietors and first townspeople would be proud to see this magnificent structure and this assembly of citizens celebrating 200 years of growth and prosperity. Now this is written and delivered by Patricia Gilson, Cobb Hill Road, Otisfield, for the bicentennial kickoff ceremony held at the Otisfield Community School. Now some of the many memorabilia which you'll be seeing in a moment, or items, were on display for purposes including an excellent calendar featuring old pictures of the town of Otisfield. And Pat took us on a tour of what there was to see. And don't forget to notice the walking stick made and donated by John Higgins, or the beautiful quilt made by a number of the ladies of the town. But first, let's take a look at what the kids have done.
Dog in the snow. Dorothy, what was your dog's name?
Foxy. Oh, that.
This dog.
Oh, that dog. That was Teddy.
Teddy. Teddy is pulling the sleigh. He's got bells.
Oh, man, he isn't going to take that, is he?
So snowplows. They used to roll the snow and park it down so that the horses and sleighs would have a firm footing. This is Spruce Corner, about 1920. It is looking towards the present site of the fire station and the church. The house on the left is the Hamlin household. Okay, this is the Otisfield General Store. It's in the early 50s. It has got mobile gasoline out in front of it. Standing on the doorstep is David Bean, who was the owner of the store at that time. And talking with him is Eve Jolson. And the car there is Eve's car. It was a robin's egg blue Dodge. Okay, building of a payload about 1900. Back then they didn't have the fancy balers. They just picked it up with rakes and loaded it up. The Grange Hall in the Gore was always a very popular gathering site. This one, we're not exactly sure when it was taken, but we expect it was sometime around the 4th of July of one year, judging by that flag that's flying.
No, don't stop like mad. Almost within 2 weeks of the time we have them, we're cracking out.
Okay, this is aquaplaning on Thompson Lake on Pug Cove in the 40s. Driving the boat is Frank Bean, who was the owner of the Cape. His daughter Janet is sitting in the back, and on the aquaplane is Patty Burke. She was Patty Bean back in those days. And you can see part of the Cape in the background, and the shore behind it is Perkins Beach over in Oxford. Well, this one is school days in the Dunkertown School, which was very close to this school building here. The 7 students were the entire population. 3 of them are my dad, Eve Jolson. He's the one making the face. His brother Otis, whose name was Otisfield Jolson, is sitting beside him to his left, and his sister sits right behind them. The other children are May Tenney, let's see, George Welch. I'm trying to think of the other names, and they're on the back page of the calendar, so we can get them. Okay, canning factories were popular in all of these areas because they would harvest from the fields and bring it in and can it. And this particular canning factory canned not only corn, but some kinds of fruits and other things. The buildings there later were converted into sawmills and other mills. And the kid on the porch is sitting on a chair constructed out of the cans. Okay, this one is the Otisfield Townhouse. It's on the Bell Hill Road, and it was built in 1905. And this is where we still vote. We put it on the month of November because that's when voting day is. The front of it has been changed a little bit to add a ramp to make it wheelchair accessible. But other than that, the building looks pretty much the same as it does in this picture.
There we go.
This is the Bell Hill Meeting House. This one was completed in 1839, and it was built to replace the previous meeting house that was actually put up in 1797. However, that was taken apart, and pieces of it were taken to other places to be used for other things. And this is the original meeting house, a sketch of it that was erected in 1797 and actually stood until 1845. This is a very popular, but one of the many items for sale on our memorabilia. For just $5 per calendar, you can have a piece of history in your home, too. Yeah, the price list, 15 years from now, people will look at that and say, wow, things were cheap back then.
That's what we're saying now, Mom.
That's right.
Here, John Cecile Nutting.
Hi, Cecile. That's good.
This is our large truck bed, selling for $19. It's avoiding our special bicentennial seal. This is a nylon bag, whereas the other one is made out of cotton. So this one would really be an easy one to wash. We have here for $15, one with a tan top and the other with a green top. One size fits all because they are adjustable.
When mother died, we gave her some of my mother's clothes.
Well, she had more clothes, and my husband came down with his car. We made, I have you should see mine. I take mine traveling.
Probably, if Brian ever sees that, we can so embarrassed.
No, $50 for the blacks. No, $150, no one would buy one, but $50.
Now another adventure just waiting to happen is the hayride. It's just nothing like jumping up on a wooden wagon with two powerful horses and simply sitting back, relaxing, and enjoying a leisurely pace through the woods. The crisp air, the sunshine, the cold in your cheeks makes this one of the nice highlights. Enjoying the ride, watching the scenery go by. Thoughts of food flash by, and boy, oh boy, can you get hungry. I'm back in the kitchen at the Otisfield fire station. Things were moving right along. Volunteers were getting everything ready for the gala banquet early that evening. Volunteers like Beth Tillinen and Vicki Rogers knew they'd have a hungry crew coming, so the pace was non-stop. Just outside of the kitchen, at the pool table, we have Dana Ryerson and Corey Tillinen dropping a few balls in the pockets, waiting for their job to start. Everybody was involved. You want to talk about beef stew so thick, even get you drooling from the tape. They couldn't remember the last time good-looking stew had been served like that. And that wasn't all. 45 pounds of haddock donated by the Fisherman's Net in Harrison promised a chowder like no other, not even counting the desserts. And all the other donated foods made it one big happy meal. The people lined up, loaded up, and ate, because it had been a long day. It had been a fun day. There wasn't anybody who didn't have a good time. Now let's take a look at the crowds for a second, see if you know anyone, or you know yourself. find a toy, but if you're a kid, that's no problem. Now take Kim Jackson, Kelly Stroud, Lindsay Stroud, Chris Alberry, Amanda Hamilton, and Rachel Sunderland, and they have got no trouble finding something to do. Sweatshirts, serious eaters are all there to be seen. Hey, Jim. And they came in for the whole time when the food was being served. They went back for seconds. There were some real serious eaters there. Tired but serious. Young and old show. Ever been to a duck race? Well, no, most people haven't. But that doesn't mean it isn't fun. It is fun. Partly because for the small amount of $3 you can be in it yourself, or if you're feeling a little on the richer side, $5 can get you 2 ducks. Now the committee had never done one of these before, though some seen duck races elsewhere. And they chose the dam at Bolster's Mills as the place to start the race. They had hundreds of ducks for sale. And they did a good job of selling them. Because they sold most of them. After they held their final entrance opportunity, volunteers loaded the ducks on a boat. Now the crowd was tense. Ready, they hauled them out to the river and they dumped them right in the middle of the stream. And then they waited. And waited. Now the crowd was anxious, the tension was high. They waited. And the volunteers were ready. They sat and they drifted. And one of the ducks spotted where they should be going, which of course is the waterfalls. Well, the duck hollered back at the other ducks to watch out. And they all started swimming over to the side of the stream, looking for a place to climb out. And that, of course, gives us the legend of the famous Otisfield duck race. There was once a duck who'd have no truck when it came to racing in the crooked river, but the people said yes, you do your best, and the little yellow duck just started to quiver. No way, said the duck, I'll have no truck, 'cause I really don't want to race. But they gathered in the boat and made the ducks float, and the little duck just kept them in place. Well, the little duck spied a place to hide when he spotted the rapids and the dam. Left the head of the shore, then he quacked once more, follow me boys if you can. Then all of them bore towards the friendly shore and stay on the shore far away. But them all in place, what would happen to the race? Would the little ducks hide all day? Well, a man named Jerry, always pretty merry, had a smile that seemed to say, if you think I'm lazy, then you're all kind of crazy. We aren't gonna stay here all day. So the men did built the catapult, and one by one the ducks flew. And they landed at the head in the middle of the waterbed, and down through the rapids they flew. But the little yellow duck just didn't give up, and he hollered, head for the rocks, here. The little duck swam near the rocks from the dam with a grin from ear to ear. Well, the crowd gave cheers as the volunteers went boldly on the chase. Took an hour and a half, but finally at last, the ducks finally finished the race. Nets were set and they went to get all the little ducks in the race. But with all the trials and all their wiles, one little duck escaped. And the winners of the duck race. There were 25 in all. And they gave plaques out to the first place and the last place. And here's the first place duck trophy. Kind of cute. But here's the last place duck trophy. Take a good look. 4th of July parade turned out to be the best parade Otisfield ever had. Volunteers came early. There we have a pose. Alberta Brett and Suzanne Hall came down from the U.S. Post Office, canceled stamps with the Otisfield 200th anniversary seal. Here they show demonstrating it on the very, very first envelope. Notice how it missed the stamp. Now they also brought a beautiful set of stamps to raffle off. All 1977 stamps. Now if you're looking at this in 100 years from now, drool a little bit. Here are a couple of the volunteers smiling away. They're getting set up and ready to go. Now the crowds came early. Setting up the activities took hundreds of volunteer man-hours, and also took hundreds of volunteer woman hours. But the results were more than anybody could hope for. Here they are doing some initial setting up of the crockery. And here's the Otisfield Fire Department getting their trucks ready for the parade. Look at the enthusiasm. The crowd started coming. The crowd was already there. More and more people showed. Looked pretty close to that 1988 Grateful Dead concert over in Oxford. Lined the streets. They were ready. Now the parade started around the corner up the road from where you're looking at right now. Started on the left-hand side, going up towards Casco about a mile. Parade ended right here at the Spurs Corner Fire Station. All over. A good wave. I like that. Both of them. They were right on. Yes, all the way down, right?
Well, you can either park in the backfield or you can wait. It's up to you. Glad I didn't have any more cars. I went out and tried. Good, but it damaged your paint. How you doing?
That's great. Is that a DeLorean? It's a DeLorean. What an air conditioner. Now look at that. Geez, I used to drive one of those. I know. They were great. The new ones, they don't even, I don't know. Yeah. Oh yeah. You beat on it, break something. Any one of 50 different junkyards would have the exact same speed because they're all the same. Oh, lovely.
Arcadia.
Oh, all right, Camp Arcadia. Holy mackerel. Oh, more! 100 pounds! Liver bug! Hi, Rick. How are you?
Great. How are you?
Good. Hey, I'm going to focus on that little one there, if I can get this down. Holy mackerel. Look at that. Oh, yeah. I love what you did for that horse. That is just...
She was more ambitious than I was.
I hear you. Hey, cameraman, might as well smile. Might as well smile. Oh, get you back. Yeah. Now, where did you get that hat?
Actually, my aunt got it for me. She found some stored.
I don't hit the right places, obviously. I wish I did, but No, I like that. I saw your hat. I saw another one different, but kind of the same.
Yeah.
This turned out really good, didn't it? Huh?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hey, float, wave.
Happy birthday, Otisfield! Eric, you want to pull us in after the water?
Great crowd. Quit singing, huh? No, but working. I don't know. I gotta hold it. Really. republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all.
Excuse me, is there any place where, like, band gets refreshments or there's water or something? Go get a balloon. Do you know where there's water?
There's water for sale. And I have to find
Holly, would you like something on your face?
Now, will you stamp things that I have as well?
Yes. How much do I owe you? Come on. Silly. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh yeah, and what would it be like without a melon spitting contest? Shown here is a 31.5-foot shot from one of the many contestants. Now the crockery was done by Bunjo Studios out of Adamstown, Pennsylvania. It was a big hit. Lots of pieces. You had to be very careful not to increase the pieces they ordered. It's beautiful stuff, it's heavy, it's going to be here for 100 years. Pie plates, cookie jars, cups, candy, dishes, to name a few. Beautiful stuff. You can't forget the food. Volunteers from the fire department worked on this one, and people came over and, just like usual, had a great feed. Now the face painting, which we saw a little while ago, was a big hit for the little ones, and the volunteers were from Otisfield were doing the painting. That included Nikki Spear, Kristen Lee, Vicki Rogers, and Will Rogers. And we can't forget the Marine Corps. Don't forget the Western Maine Detachment Marine Corps League raffle. Many of the children got their Christmas presents from these fine people in the last few years. The Marines also go to the schools and educate the people in the flag history and etiquette. Do you know our flag's nickname? beside the Spurs Corner Fire Station, and they would dance into the Palace. Well, some of them were dancing. They're all bouncing around though. You hear a lot of the kids right up in the front. There's the boogie into all the good old favorites. Adults too. Somewhere around 150 people dancing to that song. And we get the sky. And here we are at the fireworks. Cars were lined up along the side of the road for almost a mile back. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Wow.
some rain periods, the other extreme one is the Sawyer property over here. Now, we started to do this to figure out where people had settled, but also thinking about where the roads were at that time. It was very odd to have someone so far away. And these kind of make sense in terms of where roads have been established. But Captain Sawyer is way out of the way. So perhaps it's accessing their house maybe from the north rather than from the board along the river. So, not a good place to go there. And I think whole areas of the lower Jefferson River must have been flooded. So it's kind of fun.
Do you want our address?
No, that's right. Okay, but you,
59 Ivory Hill.
okay, but your
I
family's
was
been
not,
here?
his mother was born on Cobb Hill.
Okay.
But I wasn't born in Maine.
Family was almost back to the original king by 1800.
Okay.
No, this will be right up in the hill. Sure.
This is the historical documents.
Yeah. So you've seen the maps, you said
That's up there.
It's about 10 minutes. Yeah. Have you ever been in? I've
No.
never been in until last week.
Yeah, and it's classic, isn't it?
1837. And
With the high banisters and
Yeah. And it's built by Nathaniel, Nathan Nutting, who did the Nutting farmstead.
Oh,
This is Otisfield's official incorporation act as a town, done on the 19th of February, 1798. This was a document out of the General Court of Massachusetts. Of course, at that point, Otisfield was a new town in the state of Massachusetts. The descriptor says, in this document, the General Court of Massachusetts resolves that the residents of Otisfield hereby are incorporated into a town by the name of Otisfield, and the said town is hereby vested with all the powers, privileges, and immunities which other towns in this Commonwealth do or may by law enjoy. And this is a document, the original document sits in the Massachusetts State Archives. A group from the Historical Society went down in the fall of '97 to retrieve this copy, and we're very proud to bring it back to the town of Otisfield for our records. This is a map of the plantation of Otisfield, drawn or submitted to the state of Massachusetts December 25th, 1795, Christmas Day. This map, drawn more than 2 years before the town was incorporated, is the oldest map we now have of Otisfield. Notice that it shows Otisfield's boundaries extending beyond what is now the Causeway in Naples. A note in the bottom left corner of the map says, "This plantation includes considerable wasteland." The original copy of this map is housed in the Massachusetts State Archives. One other thing one might want to notice on the map is that it does show a meeting house, and this is the location of the current Bell Hill Meeting House. It says Meeting House, New Building. Saturday Pond, Moose Pond, and Round Pond are all drawn out. And part of Parker's Pond, which would be Pleasant Lake now, are all denoted on the map. And then the original mill site for Otisfield, Eads Falls, is shown on the Crooked River, sawmill and bridge. So at that time, there was the only bridge across the Crooked River for quite a considerable distance.
I like that.
Another interesting element of this map is the notation on what we now know as Crystal Lake and Harrison, which would be right over in this area. And as you see, it has been noted as part of Anonymous Pond. Later in the 19th century, Crystal Lake would be known as Anonymous Pond, and then eventually Crystal Lake, but on this map, it's just Anonymous. Another interesting thing is the inclusion of what is now Naples Causeway in the original town of Otisfield. And you can see on the map Country Road from Bridgeton to Portland, running between Long Pond and Brandy Pond. George Pierce, who was hired by the original owners of Otisfield to set up a town, to establish the mill in Eads Falls, establish roads, encourage families to come and settle the town, demanded that he have access to a boat for the first 10 years while he do so. And with the inclusion of Long Lake and its connection to Sebago Lake in the town of Otisfield, he was able to get a good headway into what was at that point a wilderness area. The first map we're going to be looking at is a map also drawn by the children at the Otisfield Community School of Otisfield in 1795. And the process of doing this map was very complicated. The Otisfield Historical Society, Gene Hankins in the charge, went to the tax maps or tax records for the town in 1795 and wrote those down for us on a wonderful list. We then used the lot map for the divisions of Otisfield and compared what we had in text with where the lots occurred and where we knew the modern roads were for the town, and guesstimated where the actual houses might be. We might be off, the houses might be further away from the roads, but this is a pretty good estimate of where the residences were in 1795. Interesting for us that nobody lived along what's now the Bolsters Mills Road from Spurs Corner. Quite a number of people lived along the Swampville Road, which now is not heavily inhabited. And another oddity really is that there was no one on the Jugtown Road. Here's Eads Falls, where the original mill is. We had anticipated that Jugtown Road was the first road constructed in the town, and in 1795, no one was living along it. The other oddity is that the Captain Sawyer house, now off the Gore Road, is all to itself, and we do not know what road was used by the Sawyer family to get to their homestead. Now, these again are maps that the children at the Otisfield Community School completed, maps of various elements of the history of Otisfield, the factories and businesses in Otisfield, the mill sites, the meeting houses, and the last one is actually of the watersheds. All of these were created using historic maps and Spurs history of Otisfield. Is that my beep? Sorry.
That's okay.
In the fall of 1997, this mapping project was begun by the Otisfield Community School with funding from Maine Preservation. And on particular days in the fall with assistance, financial assistance from Hancock Lumber Company. One of the first things we did while the weather was still good was take all the children from the 4th, 5th, and 6th grades to visit the early mill sites in Otisfield. We went to Eads Falls, Rayville, East Otisfield, and eventually Scribner's Mill, which is in actuality in Harrison, but it's still standing, so we went there. It was a wonderful outing, and our many thanks to Hancock Lumber Company for that day. We then had a wonderful program by David Hankins and Jim Chandler on watersheds and how watersheds influence where people settle and how the eventual shape of the town happens via its contours, its topography, and its water. And David was hilarious because he grew up in Kansas where there is not much of a watershed apparent anyway, and was able to do quite a good compare and contrast with the children. This is the 1829 map of the state of Maine with the province of New Brunswick, drawn up by Moses Greenleaf. This is a patch sampler created in 1824 by Julia Ann Patch, is that right? The property of Julia Ann Patch in Otisfield. Levi Patch was born October 21st, 1782. Don't want me to read this whole thing, do you?
Whatever you want to do. It's neat.
I'm going to read just the descriptor. This linen sampler, completed in 1824, was found in a chest of textiles removed from the Levi Patch house on Bell Hill Road, thought to be the town's oldest house. Julia Ann Patch, who embroidered the sample, was born in Otisfield on the 28th of April, 1807, and died there the 12th of June, 1848. She was the oldest of 8 children of Levi and Martha Patch, who, as the sampler shows, were married in 1803. In 1824, when the sampler was completed, only 4 of these children were living: John, Julia Ann, Samuel, and Hester Ann. This is a map of Cumberland County, drawn in 1857. This particular map was very pivotal to the mapping project for our own 1857 map, in that it describes where everyone was living in 1857 for the entire county, which of course at that point included Otisfield. So this is a wonderful record, almost like a modern survey of who was living where in the town. One thing, of course, to remember at this point, 1857, Harrison has broken out of Otisfield. That was 1805. Naples breaks out in 1834. So the Otisfield we see in 1857 is basically the Otisfield we know of now.
Since 1927, the Bell Hill Meeting House Association has dedicated itself to 2 goals. It is dedicated to the architectural preservation of this meeting house, since 1839, the central landmark of the town of Otisfield. But just as important, it is dedicated to preserving the meeting house as a place of worship. Regular services were last held here in 1887. But the annual service on the last Sunday in July still keeps alive the religious tradition of our church on the hill. We thank you for attending and becoming part of that tradition.
Oh, they're gonna show. Yeah.